right, perfect. So I'm Ian Sanders with Oasis Financial Services. Today, I'm going to be going through a walkthrough of the sales process. So instead of thinking of it as cross-selling, it's more of a cross-helping type of thing where we're going to be looking at Marisol, who's going to be the client in this case, and basically trying to figure out how we can get her the most coverage for what she can afford. I'll be going through everything from what we're looking at inside of Ringy when we give her a call, because that's the dialer that I use. Dispositions, how to enter the sale, how to document it inside of your tracker, and then where all of those resources are on the website. So we'll jump right into it. I'm going to just do the ring, 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 and then have Marisol pick up, and then we're just going to start running right through it. I just need a quick second to share my screen. All right, everybody see that okay?
Yes.
All right, and then I'll just pull her up. All right, so before we actually jump into it, what I'm going to do is show where to get these resources so you can see the script itself. Give me just a second to move this out of the way. All right, so on the website, right now it's ffloasis.com. It'll probably be Join Team Oasis or something by the time I put this out. But inside of broker resources, there's the username and password. You should have that. But if you scroll down, there will be new agent resources. And if you click here, you'll see the Google folder. And inside of here, they have broker tools. That's where your trackers and things are going to be. There'll be things constantly added in the compensation, so you know how you get paid. Drip messaging is for things if you have like text messages, email blasts you want to send out. And then health. So we're going to go into health right now and then look at the scripts. And then this health telesales script is the one that I'm going to be using. And so anybody that wants to follow along, that's how you get there. And this is what I'm going to be running through right now. There are other resources, and we will talk about those and how you use those once we get to that part. So what we're going to do is just go through the opening of the script, collecting the information, and then we'll go into what you do to actually research and figure out what you're going to provide the client, and then go back to the client and actually presenting that to them. Now, I'm going to be using just a blank notepad here. That's the way that I do my notes, and then I just dump it all into Ringy when I'm done. You can write that down. You can use a whiteboard. Whatever you choose to use is completely fine as long as it keeps you on track. All right, so let's do it. All right, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Marisol, I'm Ian Sanders, just getting back to you about the health insurance that you were looking into. It looks like here you put your zip code as 85040 and your date of birth is 1183. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, great. So I'm assigned your request, and we do everything virtually, and this will only take about 10 minutes. You grab a pen and paper. I have a couple of things for you to write down.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. I got it.
All right, great. So the first thing that I want you to write down is my name. It's Ian, that's I-A-N. Last name is Sanders, S-A-N-D-E-R-S. And then the next is going to be my license number. It's 877-1933.
Okay.
And the state just requires me to leave that with you, so you can look me up if you want to on the Department of Insurance website, or give them a call so you know who I am. I'm assigned to your request, so you can save my name and number. Now, the way that it works is very simple. I'm a licensed broker, so I'm like your personal shopper, and I take a holistic approach. And what that means for you is that since I have access to about 30 different companies, my job is just to ask questions to find what you're looking for and can qualify for, and then to try to get you the most complete coverage possible that's within budget. Sound good?
Okay.
All right, great. So to start out, I'm going to ask you a few questions to get an idea of what you're looking for specifically. After that, I'll do some research for you and then come back with a plan for you. It may take about an hour or so to do the applications. What works best for you, Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday works best.
Okay, and then morning or afternoon?
Afternoon works best.
Okay, so I have a 3 o'clock and a 4 o'clock.
Let's do 4.
All right, got that. All right. So were you looking for coverage for just yourself or you and a family?
For me and my family, for me, my husband and my son.
Okay. And what's your husband's date of birth?
Um, 7/1/1983.
Okay. And then your son's?
1/1/2018.
All right. Got it. And then do you currently have any health or life insurance coverage now?
No.
Okay. And then if you had to choose between these different types of coverage, which would you prefer? An expensive plan that covers everything or a plan that costs less, but you pay more only if something happens?
Um, right now, because we are tight on money, I think we just want to get covered right now. Uh, we're just trying to seek options. So can you give me both?
Yeah, we can take a look at both. Now, have you or anyone that's going to be covered been diagnosed or treated for or take any medication for the following conditions: heart attack, stroke, TIA, cancer, diabetes, neuropathy, ALS or Lou Gehrig's, high blood pressure, high cholesterol?
No.
Okay. And what's your and everyone's or what's your height and weight?
5'2", 130.
Okay. And what about your husband?
6'1", 190.
Okay. And then your son?
He's about I would say 3'9", 39 pounds.
All right, great. Now, are you more concerned about doctor's visits and illnesses or major things like cancer, heart attacks, strokes, and major accidents?
At this point, I am concerned for both. Are you able to give me options for both?
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, and then right now, how many times would you say that you each see the doctor per year?
Myself, I only go for regular visits. My husband rarely goes; he doesn't go at all. And my son, he goes for well visits.
Okay,
So
and
I would
your son,
say,
does he go
you know,
like
like maybe
every year or every 6 months?
my son, he probably goes like 3 to 4 times a year, and then myself, I go like about twice a year.
Okay, great. All right, and then do you currently have a primary care physician?
I do.
Okay. And if it would save you money, would you be willing to switch?
Primary care doctors?
Yes.
Yeah, if it makes sense, absolutely.
Okay. And then right now, do you have anything in place to help pay the bills if you're unable to work due to a serious illness or injury?
I do not. None of us do.
Okay. And then if there was an emergency, do you have anything to pull from to help cover costs like 401ks, IRAs, mutual funds, money market, or significant savings?
No, we don't.
All right. And then what's your expected income for the year, your line 11 on your taxes?
Um, well, my surplus for the year, for the month is $600.
Okay. And then of that, how much can you afford to pay on your health insurance?
Um, about $300.
Okay. And then it looks like here on this form that you said that you make about $46,000 a year. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I have a good idea of what to look for. I'll put together a comprehensive plan and we can go over it on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Just make sure that you put it in your calendar. I'll also send a reminder and when we go over it, I may have some follow-up questions and we can make tweaks to it to make sure it fits. After that, I'll help you submit the applications needed and get you and your family protected. Make sure you save my number so you know it's me when I call, okay?
And we can't go over this right now really quick?
Nope, but we're going to just keep going through it. There's some things I'll talk about, but questions are at the end.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. Talk to you then. All right, so to go over the reasons I say the things that I say in this part. So we'll just talk about that really quick because, of course, it makes sense if you understand why. All right, so the opening is just the opening. However you choose to open the call is up to you. Sometimes you will have those things like the date of birth and zip code. Sometimes you don't. It just adds a little bit more credibility when you say that at the very beginning. Making them grab a pen and paper so that they can take your name and your license number also is important, and knowing that they can go ahead and go on the state website to look you up. Even though most people don't do it, it also builds credibility. And then the reason that we book the next appointment, or the reason that I'll book the next appointment at the very beginning, is to lock them in so that they're not, in their minds, they already understand how the process is going to go before we even started. So before I tell them anything, they already know, okay, this is going to be quick. We're just going to answer a few questions. And that keeps people from coming behind you and then booking it, like trying to set them up right then and there, because you've already let them know, I got all of this information and I'm going to go and do all this hunting for you. That's the other reason why I say, like, we take a holistic approach, and I'm going to look through and try to get you the most complete coverage, because what that does is it allows you to ask a lot more questions so that you can look for other things. Like, do they need something for retirement? Do they have something to cover their income? You can look for things more than just the health insurance, more than just the ACA plan, if you've already prefaced that. And one of the things that you'll see when you're working with clients and families is they're almost never upset if you do something, if you told them you were going to do it ahead of time. What gets you is if you just come up and you just start asking questions out of the blue without prefacing that, it'll cause issues. Now, as you're going through this, if you want to be more friendly, that's fine. My style is just more straightforward, because what I found is that when you're working with clients, especially over the phone, even though they may like you, the main thing that you want to establish is credibility. And your tone has to be confident, like you know what you're talking about. And you almost have to sound like a doctor when they're talking to you, like, hey, so do you have this? Do you have that? Instead of like, hey, let's have this whole conversation about things that don't matter. When you're in the home, that's a different story. You want to, build that rapport with them face to face so that they really like you. But over the phone, you're always in a constant battle against time. And so you can't really wait. You have to pick sometimes between credibility and building rapport. And if you can do both at the same time, that's great. But usually what I'll do is I'll build rapport in the application phase, or I'll build it when I'm explaining the information to them and trade stories then. But as far as this first part goes, you just kind of want to get through it as quickly as possible. And again, in this case, what we're doing is we're looking at it from a 2 appointment visit standpoint instead of just running straight through. Now, once everybody gets good with, navigating the systems and already has an idea of what they need, then you can jump ahead to, okay, we're just going to run straight through this. But at the beginning, at least, for the first few clients that you work with, what you'll want to do is do it in a 2 appointment visit standpoint, so that you can not only put something together, but you can also reach out to a leader if you have some confusion about things. All right, so what we know right now is that they do want doctor visits. They kind of want the complete package. They have some things that they can work with. And asking that question about what money or how much they feel like they have left over at the end of the month. She told me right away, but normally the question would be, at the end of the month, after paying all of your bills, your any other expenses, food, gas, entertainment costs, what do you have left over at the end of the month? And they'll say $600 in this case. And then of that, how much can you afford to spend on health insurance? $300. So now I know that what we're trying to do is get them as much coverage as we possibly can for the $300. And what that does by asking those 2 questions is now it takes it out of you selling out of your own pocket, or just trying to think, oh, well, maybe this is too expensive. You don't have to ever worry about that, because they've already told you what they can afford to spend. Now, right, as we go through it, we'll take a look at how you can still exceed the budget in certain cases, and then let them pick if that's something they want to do or not. And we'll look at that towards the end. So what we're going to look at first is the ACA portion of it, because that's going to be the most important thing to them, is making sure that they have health insurance covered. So that's what you'll want to cover first. Now, one thing, I'm just going to just do it on the fly because I'm used to doing that. But there is a resource inside of the broker center so that you can actually use it to take down the information to present to them. And it's here under health worksheets, and it's going to be the health benefit explanation form. And so when you get here, basically you'll put the company, the name of the plan, how much it costs, the actual cost, and you'll see that later, the cost to client. And this is, you can only use this though if you're doing a 2-appointment visit, because if you're not and you're trying to fill this out while you're still trying to talk to them, it's going to take too long. But you can put, if it's an HMO or PPO, what the cost is for a doctor's visit, urgent care, ambulance, all the information that you're going to need to explain to them. When you go through the supplements, it's going to be the same thing. And then the dental and vision plans, you'll put all of that information in. And when you look through this, these are the things that you're going to need to explain to the client as you go through it. So it just makes it easy for you. If you're not sure what things I need to explain to the client, this is going to tell you what you need to explain to the client. But the nuance to all of this is this: you always have to go over what the client said that they were worried about in the first place. So she was more worried about, the more expensive things, but also they go and they see some doctors. So they're going to want to know what those doctor copays and things are. If they say something like, oh, well, I see a therapist, or, my son has, some type of mental, behavioral or mental condition, then you'd also want to talk about those things, but it's not really necessary if they didn't bring something like that up. All right, so what we'll do is we will jump into Sherpa, and you'll go into quote on EX, which is the exchange. And I just opened up another one because I'm going to use that other page later to illustrate something. So it's pretty simple. You just put in your zip code. Right now, I'm just going to put their age. They're both 40. So she's 40. You do add spouse. It's getting there, I hope. There it goes. All right. We'll go ahead and put not 40. And then we'll add the dependent. And he's 5. All right, that looks good. All right, so we have 3 household members. And so basically here is where you're going to put how many people are actually applying for coverage. So if the husband wasn't applying for coverage, you could leave him out, but he would still count as the total household members. Now you put in the household income. We're looking at $46,000. And now he doesn't qualify for CHIP, so we'll just click that. And that's just Medicaid. And so now we see that the savings here is $907 a month. And because it says CSR here, it means that we have to go with a silver plan for them to reap those benefits. So anytime you see this, you have to go silver. And to make sure that you do that, if you scroll down, what you'll do is you'll just click silver here on the metal levels. And then it's going to pull the plans up. And so what we're looking at here are, the different costs of the plans. Now she wanted to, basically her saying that they go to the doctor. We have doctor visits here, generic drugs here, what the specialist would be. But the main thing is it's a $0 premium, but you have the $700 deductible and an out-of-pocket maximum of $3,000. So, all right. So the next thing that you'll always want to do is figure out how to get rid of this, especially if they're saying that they have about $300 for their health insurance. So the next thing that you'll want to do is go into Allstate. And this is where you're going to find the supplement plans. All right. And so for all intents and purposes, we're just going to put 12/1 as a start date. We'll put that as that. And we're going to put her as 1/1/83. And then we're going to have a spouse and a dependent. And then I'll just take a quick look at the dates of birth, 7/183 and 1/118. All right, so now even though it says that you need to put this first name and last name in here, you don't really need to do that. It'll still allow you to quote without putting that in there. Okay, so we're not looking at short-term medical. We're not looking at dental right now. What we are going to look at are, first and foremost, I always do this first, is the accident plan. Neither one of them smoke. And so basically what the plan enhancer allows them to do is if they're admitted to the hospital because of an accident, it's going to pay out whatever this amount is. Now, what you want to do is, depending on their budget, like if they're really, really strapped for cash, I might do the 2,500 and just let them know, hey, I know your out-of-pocket maximum is $3,000, but this is going to cover the majority of it. It'll cover 2,500 if you go in because of an accident. But because there's some room, I'm going to do 5,000. And the way that I explain that, and I'll go through it when I'm explaining the plan, is that if she goes into the hospital because of an accident, she can use the $5,000 to pay off her out-of-pocket maximum, which is $3,000. And then after that, everything's covered 100% and still have $2,000 in her pocket. So that's 2,536. But when I add it, what I'm always going to want to do is include the sickness. And so the sickness in hospital. So what this now allows her to do is anytime she goes in the hospital for anything, that's what it's going to pay out. And it is independent of what plan she has. So even if the out-of-pocket maximum on the plan were $1,000, then she could use the $5,000 to pay that $1,000 and then pocket the $4,000. Make sense so far, guys? Okay. So now that that's done, the next thing that we're going to do is take a look at let me move this out of the way. The next thing that we're going to take a look at is the term life critical illness. Now, if they said that they were really concerned about cancer, heart, and stroke, you can also add something like that in, because sometimes people will have a history of that in their family, and that's where I would add that. But the next thing I'll normally do is the critical illness. And so because I'm mindful of this, I'm already at $68.40. What I'm going to do is add the $50,000 critical illness. So basically what that means is if they have cancer, heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, coma, blindness, any of these things, at first diagnosis, they're going to pay them $50,000 right off the bat. And that's $95.76 for the family. So now we're at $164.16. So now basically what you've done is you've provided them with a plan where they have all their major medical stuff covered, but they still have the out-of-pocket maximum. Now, if they go to the hospital for whatever the reason is, and they get admitted, their out-of-pocket maximum is going to be taken care of. And then if it's for any of these major conditions, they're going to get a $50,000 check to help them cover costs and things like that. Now that I know that we're at about 164, you can do a couple of different things, but I'm doing it this way because I know that they don't have life insurance. They said they don't have life insurance. And the problem with that is that, of course, if something happens to them, they may never be able to get life insurance again. Also, it's going to get more expensive as they get older. So what I want to do is get them life insurance now, but I'm going to pitch it to them in a way that it's not just about the life insurance, it's also about the living benefits as well. And so because they said that they didn't have anything wrong with them, my go-to is usually going to be Mutual of Omaha. And we are going to be, what was I doing here? Hold on. Looking at illustrations and quoting. All right, so when we do this, and what I'm going to do in this is, and you can make your own decisions based on the conversation that you have, but the reason why I try to make sure that both are covered, because let's say mom ends up, and let's say that she's not the breadwinner, dad is. And so dad gets sick, now they can't pay their bills. That's important. That's why those living benefits are there. But also, even if mom gets seriously ill and she's in the hospital, who's going to pay for daycare? Who's going to take care of those things that mom would normally be doing? And that's assuming that both of them don't work. So in general, you want to try to get coverage on both of them, but that's just a conversation that you're going to have. We're not going to jump into that. This is kind of just a straight through type of thing. But we're going to take a look at it this way first. All right, so make it easy. That's why I put them by, I'm glad that they're the same age here, because then I can just do one for male, one for female. All right, and so what I'm gonna do, what I typically will do first is I will look at what the max is and just jot it down. So for him, we have 300,000 is going to be 186.43. For 200,000, it's going to be 126.07. And then for 100,000, it's going to be 65.72. All right, and now for her, we're going to do the exact same thing, but I'm just going to do it in reverse since I'm already at 100K. So 46.88. $88.40. And then 129.92. Now, when I go through this, normally what I'll do is I'm going to give them choices like, hey, you can do the 300 for this much, the 200,000 for 126, and the 100 for 65.72 for him. Which do you think works best for you? Or I'll go through all the quotes for him and all the quotes for her, and then they'll pick which ones that they want. But for the sake of this and for time, we're just going to go with the 100,000 and then the 100,000 for him and for her. Just so that the numbers work out. So what we're looking at now is 65.72 plus the 46.88. So that's 112.60. And then that's going to be plus the Allstate stuff, the supplements, which is 164.16. So 276.76. All right, so we're looking at 276.76. So now, even though they could spend $300 on their health, now we have an ACA plan. We have the critical illness, so they have some money coming in if they're ever diagnosed with something major. They have the plan enhancer, which is going to cover their hospital stays. And then they have the living benefits that are going to be associated with the IUL. So now they have life insurance and an even bigger buffer if something happens to them that falls in that criteria of a terminal or critical illness, or they have terminal illness, critical illness, or a chronic illness that'd be able to come from these or pull from these benefits. So that's pretty much the plan in a nutshell. Now, once I've done that, the other thing that I'm going to take a look at is dental, and I'll explain how I go through that with them in just a moment. But right now, we're going to jump back into how to explain these benefits. Now, again, now that we've gone through that, I'll show you how to take a look at their the plan details. So here, you actually just click plan details. And this is the information that you're going to want to go through with them. Doctor's visits, drugs, all of those types of things. And this is going to be what it is before the deductible and then what they'll pay after they hit their deductible. All right, and so we're going to go through it, and I'll just kind of and as I go through it, you'll just hear how I make everything fit together so it's one cohesive plan. Now, some people like to just say that it's all one plan. I don't, because if they start getting, different charges from different places, I want them to understand where everything is coming from, so that they're not like, oh, well, I don't know what this Allstate is, or I don't know what this Blue Cross is. Like, how does this all work? It's better if you just explain all of that at the very beginning and let them ask questions to you in the beginning than to let that question come up down the road. And now they're wondering, is this guy shady? Is he legit? Like, we don't know. I don't remember him talking about this. But if it's all written down, which I'm going to have them do, there's never going to be any questions about that. And so when you look at when you look at the script itself, it'll say benefit presenting guideline, and it says review, explain, and ask. And so basically what you're going to do is you're going to kind of parrot back what they told you in the first presentation when you're first talking to them. And then you're going to explain how those benefits all meet those needs. And then after that, you'll just basically ask them if they have any more questions, and then you'll go right into the enrollment. All right, so what we'll do then is we will jump into it with Marisol again. And I will do the ring ring in just a minute. All right, so we're ready. All right, ring ring.
Hello.
Hey, Marisol, this is Ian again. I was able to put a great plan together for you based on what we talked about in our last conversation. Do you have that pen and paper handy? Because I want you to write down a few things as we go through it.
I do.
All right, great. So first things first, you said that you wanted something that kind of covered everything, doctor's visits and something major, but you're trying to keep your costs low. Is that still what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's start with the plan through the marketplace. It's through Blue Cross Blue Shield. It is an HMO, so you have to stay in network, and you may have referrals to see specialists, but you said right now that's not really an issue. So the biggest thing about this plan is that it's not going to cost you anything monthly. Because you have the premium tax credit, you don't pay anything per month for it. So that keeps the cost low, like you were talking about, but there are still some things that we'll talk about to make the plan better, because it still has a few holes that we need to take care of. So the deductible is $700. After that, the plan kicks in for the major things. It is $1,400 per family. After that, you pay your percentage, which is 30% of the cost, until you hit $3,000 per person and $6,000 per family. If you hit that either per person or per family, you'd be covered 100% after that. Now, that doesn't apply to your doctor's visits because you do just have copays. So whenever you go in for your preventative care visits for you, your husband, your son, there's no charge for those. And then if you go just to see the primary care visit because you're sick or just need to check on something, it will be $20. And then if you're referred to a specialist, that would be $40. With the drugs, with the prescription medications, what you'd be looking at is $10 for your generics, $20 for your brand name. And then if it's something that's non-preferred or a specialty drug, you'd have to pay the full price for that until you hit your deductible. And then after that, it would either be $60 or $250, depending on the price and what type of prescription it is. For your labs, you would pay the cost of that until you hit the deductible. And then after that, it would be 30% would be what you would pay. But if you go into the urgent care, it would just be a $30 copay. And then for everything else, like emergency room, ambulance stays, hospital stays, things like that, you pay the full price until you hit the deductible. After that, you pay the 30% till you hit the out-of-pocket maximum. And then once you hit the out-of-pocket maximum, you're covered the rest of the year and won't have to pay anything else. So what that means for you is, let's say that something major did happen and you did have cancer or a heart attack or a stroke. I know you're young, but it can still happen. You never know what could happen, right?
Right.
The most that you'd be out of pocket, even if your bill is $100,000, would be $3,000, and then you'd be covered 100%. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now let's make it a little bit better. So what we're going to do is talk about supplement plans. A lot of people don't know that these things exist. And so they're stuck paying those out-of-pocket maximums and deductibles when they go in the hospital when they may not necessarily have to. So The first thing that I'll have you write down is Allstate, because this one is going to be through Allstate. And there's going to be two separate parts of this that that are going to take care of those types of things. So the first one is going to be the plan enhancer. And what that does is it covers your hospitalization. So if you get admitted to the hospital because you're sick or because you have an accident, what it's going to do is pay you $5,000. So what that means is, let's say that you do go in and it's because of cancer. We're just going to use that as a going thing right now, because I think right now the statistic is like half of the people, 5 out of 10 are going to end up getting cancer at some point in time. So we're just going to use that just so that you can kind of wrap your head around this. So let's say that you go and you're diagnosed with cancer, you have to go into the hospital. Well, as soon as you're admitted into the hospital, they're going to pay you $5,000. And then you can now use that to pay the $3,000 out-of-pocket maximum in the deductible. Because the deductible and the out-of-pocket maximum are not separate. The total that you would have to pay would be $3,000. And so this would cover the $3,000, and then you'd have $2,000 in your pocket. Does this sound good?
Yeah.
And that would be for each one of you. And so it's also independent of any plan that you have. So let's say that something tragic happens and all of you end up in the hospital. That total out-of-pocket maximum is $3,000 per person and $6,000 for family. Well, this pays $5,000 per person. So in that case, it would be $15,000 that you would get, even though your total out-of-pocket maximum is only $6,000.
Okay.
Okay, and so that part is $68.40. So you can write that and $5,000 in hospital right next to it, so it makes sense. The next thing is the critical illness. So what that does is it'll pay $50,000 if you're diagnosed with anything major like cancer, Alzheimer's, heart attack, stroke, lose a limb. There's a few different things that it'll pay out for that. So now if you're sick and unable to work, you'd have $50,000 that would pay to you as soon as you're diagnosed, so that you can concentrate on getting better and not how you're going to pay the bills. Does that sound good so far?
Yeah.
All right, so that would be $95.76 per month. And so your total right now is $164.16. So we're still well below that $300 that you wanted to spend on the health insurance. Now,
Okay.
what we'll do is we'll do the applications for those in a minute. But one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the life insurance, because you currently don't have any. So my question is, if something did happen to either you or your husband, who would be the ones that would take care of the arrangements and make sure everything was in order and take care of your son?
Probably my parents.
Okay. And do you think that you'd want to have something in place to help them do that so that they wouldn't have that financial strain?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what I did was I tried to make sure that I was able to find something that fits in your budget. And what we're looking at here is going to be Mutual of Omaha. So I want you to write Mutual of Omaha, or you can write MOO for short, just like the cow sound. And so what we're going to be looking at is the IUL, or Index Universal Life Express. Now, have you ever heard of IULs, or do you know what they are or how they work?
No.
Okay, great. So just a basic explanation of it is, it's life insurance, of course, but it's permanent, meaning that the cost isn't going to go up and the benefits are never going to go down. So you know how there's that term life insurance where it has an expiration date and then most people can't afford it, or they had something medical happen and now they don't have insurance.
Right.
Now you're not going to have to worry about that. Like at some point, everybody's going to need it and it'll be there when you need it. Now, the other thing is it includes living benefits. Have you ever heard of those before?
No.
Okay, so what living benefits do is they allow you to access the benefits. So whatever you choose, you'd be able to pull almost all of that money out in certain circumstances. So let's say that you're given 1 to 2 years to live, and you chose, let's say $100,000, you'd be able to pull maybe around $90,000 to help cover any bills or take care of your own affairs, rather than your family having to fight and figure things out later. If it's something critical, like like we said, cancer, heart attack, strokes, things like that, on top of what the critical illness already pays, that 50,000, it's going to pay the additional amount on top of that. So now if let's say the $50,000 wasn't enough, you can now turn to your life insurance policy and pull that money tax-free out as well to help cover any costs that you might have. You may have to get a in-home nurse or something. You don't know. So you'd have that money to be able to take care of those things. Now, it also has another part of it where part of what you would be paying into the plan is going to go into a separate account that acts kind of like a 401k. Do you kind of have a general idea of how 401k works, or do you have one now?
No, I kind of have an idea a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so it's similar to that in the way that when the market goes up, the money in the account is going to go up as well. But if the market goes down, in this, it's a little better than a 401k because you wouldn't lose money at all. So all those stories that you hear about, friends and family and people that lost a ton of money, in 2000, 2008, 2018, you would never have to worry about that. All that would happen is just the money wouldn't go up. It would just stay there. So you don't have to worry about ever losing money or losing your policy. Now, what I was looking at for you guys, because you wanted to stay below that $300 per month, is for him, the $100,000, because he's a man and men are reckless. Let's just face facts. It would be $65.72. And then for you, for the same $100,000, it's good to be a woman. It would be $46.88 a month. So total, with all of that coverage, you're expecting to pay $300 for your health insurance, but now you have your major medical health insurance. You have a plan that takes care of your out-of-pocket maximums and deductible if you go in the hospital. If you have some type of critical illness, you're going to get $50,000 each, depending on who has it. And then you also have your life insurance, and you can pull from the life insurance in advance if you need to, if you have some type of major illness as well. And the total for that would be $276.76 a month. So about $25 below what budget is. Does that seem like it works for you?
Oh, wow. Yeah. If I get all those benefits, yeah, it definitely works out.
Okay. Yeah, you can brag to your friends about it. Tell them to give me a call. All right. So that takes care of that. Now, in case you were wondering, we do also have dental and vision. Did you want me to take a look at that for you as well?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay. Now, real quick, do you or anyone in your family have any major dental issues, or would it be mainly for cleanings and, just preventative care type stuff?
Yeah, especially for my little one. Yeah.
Just preventative stuff. Okay. So there's a couple of different plans available. What I would probably say would work well for you would be the Plus plan. And you're saying that you have, and because you can always upgrade it later if you want to. And so just to go over that real quick, just give me a minute and I'll pull the brochure up. And if it seems like enough coverage, we can go with that. If not, and you want to pay a little bit more, we could talk about one of the more expensive plans. But you can just tell me if it works for you. So with the Plus plan, the way it works is you can go in or out of network, but of course it's going to be cheaper if you're in network. The deductible is going to be $50 per person and then $150 for the family. Now with preventative services, just going in to get your routine cleanings and oral exams, it's covered 100%. For your basic services, which are going to be like your fillings, things like that, it would be covered 60% the first year and then 80% every year after that. And then if you had major services, these are going to be like your crowns, bridges, root canals. They'd be covered 15% the first year and then 25% every year after that. And then for your annual maximums, what happens is it's going to pay up to $1,000 the first year. It goes up to $1,500 the next year, and then $2,000 every year after that. Now, does that seem like that would be enough coverage for you, or did you need more?
No, that seems like enough coverage.
Okay, so that would be $100 and $130.60. And then did you need vision coverage as well?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's important.
And how often do you go to do you guys get glasses every year or every 2 years?
Every year.
Okay. All right. And so that would be about $76.52 a month to add that. All right. And so I'll have a total for you in just a minute. All right, so your total would be $340.75 plus, give me just a minute. Actually, let me do it this way. Just 1 second. Okay, so the total would be about $452.81. Does that still work for you? Because I know you said your budget was 300, but we added the dental, which we didn't really count, dental and vision, which we didn't really count on. Does that work for you?
No, not really. I'm, we're not going to be able to go over our budget of 300. But what about the vision? Because the vision is important to me because I wear glasses. So what about if we take the dental out and we put the vision on there?
Well, with this particular way that it works, the dental is just an add-on to, or the vision is an add-on to the dental. But what we can do is just take it out for now, and then I can do some searching for you, and then we can talk about just a standalone vision plan once I'm able to find one for you, okay?
Okay.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll go through the application process. It'll be just a moment, and we'll go ahead and get you all set. All right, so now we'll pause the whole scenario. Actually, it's done. What we do here is we just go ahead and hit apply and fill that out. Then you go into Mutual of Omaha, and let me move that out of the way. There's too many. Oh, sorry, wrong thing. All right, so we just go here and then electronic applications, and then we go through each individual process for them. And then you also go through the Sherpa and go ahead. And this is pretty easy. Like you just go, well, you can also scroll to the bottom and then you just hit add to cart and then you go through and fill those out. And so this isn't going to be a video on how to fill all of that stuff out. So I'm not going to get into it, but I am going to tell you what you do after you've got all this set up. So now let me go back to here. So there's going to be a few things. So I think I was short a little bit on one of these. It was, I don't know. Well, we're just going to assume that these numbers are correct. And we'll look at it from this point of view. All right. So now we need to enter a few things. So for one, we're going to go to the tracker. And we'll go into health appointments first. And today is the 18th. All right, and then you just select which lead type, and this one we're going to say that it came from a vendor. We bought the lead. You can put what type of lead if you want to here. It'll give you like a little red warning, but it doesn't matter. This is just so you can keep track of what leads and things like that work the best. Like I just want to know, hey, am I doing better with vendors? Because I don't really care where the leads come from, honestly. Or if I'm doing better with Warm Market or referrals or Walmart, because I do have the table set up at Walmart. You just select the state, you put the appointment date. Everybody's probably like, you sold this in the future. We're going to say 2 o'clock. And the result is we closed it. All right. And so now we're going to do submitted. And then as it goes into force, you can change those later to make sure that everything's accurate. But the total number of policies that we sold here is going to be 4, not, wait, I think it's 4. 1, 2, 3. No, it's going to be 3. 3. And not, the reason it's not 5 is because you're going to put the other 2, the IULs, in the life appointment part. So it's going to be pretty much the same process. And you'll just distinguish it this way. So we have 3 ACA members because it's husband, wife, and child. And now you're going to do the ACA AV. So this is how you do that. Now, this is what I do. This is my process. This is just for another client that I had. I don't think there's any other identifiable information on here, so it should be fine. So what I do is when I get to this page, I just copy this. and then I paste it into here. And then I go back and I take the effective date. And everybody can do this differently. It's 100% up to you, but this is just my preference because I like to make sure that I have all of this information there. All right. And then normally what I'll do is I'll take this and just throw it into the lead. Now I have all of that information, and then I'll explain why that's important. Now, when you put in the premium, what you're going to do is put in what it was. And if you're looking at it directly, it's this number here, the crossed out red one. And then that'll just be important for tracking reasons later. If you want to just add it up, it's easy. You just hit equals, and then you put in the number, and then we're just going to multiply it by 12 because that was a monthly premium. And then it just automatically will do that in Google Sheets if you do it that way. Now, it's just like using a calculator. You just hit equal in whatever you're trying to do. So now you go into the supplements, and then you have the 6840 and the 9576. So you can just do 164.16. And it's the same thing. All right. And so now you have that. Now, one thing that I'll also do is I'll also do this, but I typically do this at the end when it shows like all the different things that you sign them up for. There's another way that you can copy and paste it, but since we're not going to do that, I'm just going to do it this way. And it'll make sense because you always want to be able to pull your client's file up and just be able to see what they have and not have to, you know, try to guess or anything like that. Make sense so far? All right. Very good. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put that. So now I have all of this information too. And really, this is where I would dump all of that information into the lead so that if they call back, I can see exactly what they have. All right, so we've gone ahead and taken care of that. Now, as far as the notes go, what I will normally do is I will do this. I'll go back in here and I'll say, okay, so we have the My Blue. They have Term Life and Critical Illness. And sometimes I'll include what the monthly amount is too. So a lot of this stuff right now is just preference. And then we will go with, actually, I probably should have copied that one, but we'll also do this one. And then, or you can put plan enhancer, just whatever you choose to do. As long as you're tracking this stuff is all that really matters. This part is just because I like being able to see it here too, if I want to just get it at a glimpse. All right, so now when you go into the dashboard, you'll see how everything's popping up. Well, I haven't changed the dates yet, so I might as well do that since we're already here. It's going to be the 18th through the 24th because that's when our cycle is. And so now you can see that we have the I submitted one earlier. That's why it says 4 instead of 3. But I closed 2 appointments, and this is the annual premium, and it's just adding up the supplements. Now, if I went ahead and put the life stuff in as well, those 2 submitted applications would show up here, and their annual premium would show up here. And that's basically how this tracker works. And there'll be a whole video on how it works and all the details and all of that stuff later. So don't worry about it. I promise you'll have access to it. Don't worry about it right now, though. All right. So now that you've done that, and now you're able to track it, the next thing that you're going to want to do is enter it into HST. And this is basically the whole thing for the health solutions team. And you have to make sure that you put all of these, not only the leads in, but that you also put in what you sold them so that they can track. So for promotions, bonuses, all that stuff, it has to be in here. This step cannot be missed. So what you'll do, I already have a lead in here that I'm going to use. I'm going to use my own. But if you go to lead acquisition, you'll do create new lead if they're not already in the system. But I already have my own lead in here and I'm just going to use mine. So what I'm going to do is just put in Christopher. So that's my first name. And here I am. So what you'll do when you actually create a lead is you'll just fill in all the information you have, name, address, all of that. But then down here, what you're going to do is you're going to click add. And then you're going to put the main primary person that you talk to's name in. And then you're going to put in their date of birth. And the rest of it doesn't matter. You might want to, if it's female, female, male, male, but the rest of this isn't important. The reason this is important is because until you put this here, again, at the bottom of the page where you hit add, you're not going to be able to do the next part, which is create sale. So now you'll hit create sale. And we're going to go with the carrier. So we were using Blue Cross. BCBS of Arizona. It was an on exchange silver. The monthly premium and the effective date on this one was 1/1/2024. The monthly premium again is going to be, if you had it in here, it's still going to be the $943.94. There it is. All right, so you'll want to put the monthly premium in here, and that's going to add it up automatically. And then the app number is going to be this number. Remember when I was copying and pasting things? This is the FFM ID. This is what the application number is going to be. So what you'll do is you'll go in here and you're going to put the app number, and it's going to be new business. Now, if this was a renewal, I would select rewrite business, but this is brand new. They never had a plan before with us anyway. And so we're going to do new business. Now, the next thing that we're going to do are the Allstate plans. So we're going to do Allstate Health Solutions, Allstate Health Solutions. We're going to say that all of this is going to start at the same time, even though we put 12/1 in there before. We're just going to say that it's going to be for the new year to make it easy. And then you'll put the monthly premium amounts for these. So one's going to be $95.76, one's going to be $68.40. So we'll just do $95.76. And then the other one was, I already forgot what it was. $68.40. Okay. All right. And so this one was the critical illness. And this one was the plan enhancer. All right. So now this is what you're going to do next. So you'll go into your snipping tool. And if you want to do a whole screenshot or something, you can do that, but this is the easiest way to do it. So you're going to highlight this, and now you're going to report it to Discord. Now, if we're running a contest or something, you also want to let your team know that you did something as well. But regardless, you're still going to want to put it in Discord. And so my Discord's not running right now, so let me just pull that up. All right, and you'll go to sales. And then you'll put what kind of lead it was. So let's just say it's Smart Financial. And then you'll just go ahead and put this. And then that's it. You're done. You've reported it. Now, I'm not going to do this because then they'll think that I sold like 3 policies, which I didn't do. So I'm going to count that out, but that's where you're going to put it. And then with our team right now, it's team beast mode. We were talking about some stuff, so I'm not going to go in there right now, but then I would put, I almost forgot something. So what I would have also done there is I would have also put mutual or MU, IULE, and then put, his, and then what the annual premium was for that, and then hers, and put the annual premium for that. So then they can see all of the different things that were sold on that one appointment. So once all that's taken care of. And this is the order I do it in. How you choose to do it is going to be up to you as long as it gets done. The app numbers are going to be at the end of those applications, which we can't get to, obviously, because we didn't put it in, but you would put those here. Just make sure that you don't move on before you put those application numbers here. I have warned you because I made that mistake before. And then I had to call and ask. And so then you would just click this, I've collected, and then you hit submit, and then it'll submit it there. And that's how you get these lead balance credits. So basically what HST does is when you write business, they will actually give you credit so that you can buy more leads. After the month is over, this then goes into your marketing balance, where if you're buying leads from another source, you can actually submit your receipts for that, and they will reimburse you for half of the cost of whatever your expenses are, up to whatever this amount is. So that's pretty cool. All right. So now all of that's taken care of. The last part will be the disposition. So now you have your health leads. The first thing that you'll want to do is go ahead and hit sold. And mine, it sends a message out to them right away. You'll see, let's see if, okay, yeah, it didn't go anywhere. But you see, it says, hi, this is Ian with FFL, just because I wasn't able to update that. Congratulations on being approved. Please check your email and it just gives some basic information for them. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this part right here, and I'm going to enroll them in the birthday text. So what that does now is on the 1st of every year, it's going to send them a happy birthday type of text to check in with them, because you're going to want to touch them, or you're going to want to reach out to them a few times throughout the year so that they know, hey, this is my insurance person. So they're going to get another text message once I hit sold. This is the way mine's set up. In 2 weeks, they're going to get another text message asking if they got all of their information and if they have any referrals or anybody that they know that I could help as well. They're going to get another text on their birthday. And then if I choose to reach out to them in between that time, I can. But the next thing that I'm going to want to do is schedule a follow-up call. So I just click here on schedule follow-up. And then I'm going to put in the date. And usually I do it for 1 year from whenever I wrote the policy. And you can do it like a week before. That would actually make more sense, honestly. Like I could do this. So that on 11/11/2024 at 3:35, it's going to tell me, hey, you need to reach out to this person. And then I just click add to Google Calendar. I select my calendar and then I hit save. And now it's put that on my calendar. So I don't even have to think about it anymore. All right, but I'm not going to do that right now. Now, the other thing that I want to do is I have dispositions for what was sold. So what I'm going to do is I sold them an ACA. So I'll put that. I sold them life policy. So I'll put that. I sold them a critical illness. That's what this crit ill is. It's not crit 3, it's crit ill. I'll probably change that to illness because it looks weird. And then I'll also put the accident hospital or the plan enhancer. So now what that means is when I pull up the lead, it's going to show that it was a health lead, that I sold it, and that I sold them an ACA, I sold them a life policy, I sold them a critical illness, and an accident in hospital. And what I'll also do probably in the notes is put in that we did talk about dental and vision, but they weren't able to do that, and that I'll be giving them a call back to go over the vision. Now, if this was a real call, I would not have said, okay, well, we'll go back to it later, but going through Emeritus is going to be another separate video, and they do offer standalone vision. And at that point, I would give them a call back like, hey, great news, I found a vision plan for you. And then at that one, I'm going to also ask for any referrals as well. And so that's pretty much how everything works from start to finish. Now you've reported it, you've tracked it on your own, because you need to track everything. If you're running a business, that's one of the most important things, because you can't judge how well your business is doing if you don't know what's going on in your business. So that's the first part. HST needs to know what you've reported. And then also, FFL will as well. And there'll be another thing about how to report that to them, but you'll do that through GroupMe. Get with your leader on that. They'll be able to just show you how to do that. We're not going to do that now. And then also, like I said, HST, and then also how to put everything in Ringy here. And so once you're done with that, you're completely done from start to finish. Hope that was, relatively simple for everyone watching, this after the fact. Marisol, I hope you got it as well. Now that we've gone through all of that, And I've kind of explained the methodology of how all of these things work. Now I'll open it up for questions. It looks like we lost Felicia, but it's just me and you, Marisol. So go ahead and shoot with the questions.
It's a lot of information to, to process, but it's totally doable. With this recording, I could always go back and reference anything that I may need, but it makes sense as far as bundling and how you could get those extra policies on there by getting them a lower premium or a zero premium on their major health policy.
Absolutely. And that's all it's about, is seeing how much you can get them for whatever their budget is. And, when you said, oh, well, I can't go that much over budget, that happens. That was a good response. Because here's the thing is that's why I say earlier on, hey, we'll go over what we have and then we can tweak things. And what that does is it takes the buying pressure off, the sales pressure off. And now we're just having a conversation like, hey, does this work for you? Okay. What about this part? Does this work for you? Okay. Now, what about this part? Does this work for you? No? Okay, let's back it down. And I could have went with maybe a cheaper policy. I could have looked at a policy just for the son, since that was what was important. There's a lot of things that can be done. You just have to really listen to what the client is saying. I just wasn't going to make it that complicated because, like you said, there was a lot of information that was included in this. But that's why it's a step-by-step guide. And, anybody watching this, just know it's really a step-by-step process. And what you're going to do is, this is just when you take everything and put it together, but there is training on each individual part. You're going to go through the training on how to, pick out life plans. You're going to go through training on how to pick out ACA plans. You're going to go through training on how to pick out the supplement plans and how to go through those systems. And this is just a way to take all of that and combine it into one. And the reason that I have everyone watching this before they start going through those separate trainings isn't to overwhelm you or anything. It's just so that you can see how it all flows and fits together. Now, did you have any direct questions about anything that I did here, or just want to know like reasoning behind it?
Nope. It all makes sense.
Awesome. All right. Well, we did it. All right. So for everyone watching this, definitely get with your leader. If you're on my team, reach out to me. We can discuss it. Until then, have a great rest of your day. And if you're going through boot camp right now, try to get through those as quick as possible. The most training and the more information that you're going to get, the most information you're going to get is going to be out there helping families. And just know that we're always here. We're just a phone call away if you need help. Have a blessed day.